Hello guys and welcome to Painting Panzers. My name's Christian and today we're going to be painting a 20mm AB figure British infantryman, but we're not going to be painting him in my generic sort of paints that you see on the channel all the time. We're going to be using the new paint set from MIG Ammo, the Ionic paint set, which covers the World War II British and Commonwealth uniforms. Now I'll get into all of that in just a short while, but I would really recommend sticking through this video because these paints are great and I'm chuffed to bits with them. So watch as much as you can, and if you get to about the halfway mark you'll see me use their paintbrushes as well. So they really sent me a lot to test out and I can't wait to put it all to the test. Now, as I alluded to at the start of the video, we're going to be testing out the new Ionic Smart Colours range from MIG Ammo in collaboration with Rubin Heresy Brush. Now, these paints are actually rather different than what I've experienced in the past of MIG Ammo, albeit I haven't really experienced too many. And they are very nice from my initial test, which we'll see in just a moment. But as you can tell, the pot is slightly different to your sort of Vallejo and AK. It's more of a cylinder. It feels a lot nicer. When the paint comes out, it's in like a drop form, and the lid itself has a little nozzle on it, so you're actually sealing the lid properly and you're not going to get that annoying leakage and then you're going to get the dry paint coming into the lid. So that works really well. You get 12 paints in there. There's a ball bearing in there as well, so you can shake it up really nicely. As you can see, there's a little ball bearing there. I really love the inclusion of that, so you can shake it really nicely. You're going to get really good consistency. Now, there is 12 paints in this set, as I've said, ranging from skin colours to webbing to uniforms and such. Now, if you want to get your hands on this set, you can find it at MIG Ammo as well as some of your local retail stores. There's multiple Ionic sets. They're not just covering the Second World War. There's plenty of others if you're into fantasy and whatnot. They also have a brush set. So we're going to be looking at the British and Commonwealth uniform set, obviously, but we've also got the German set that was also sent, as well as the German vehicle set. So that covers 1943 to 44, and they were kind enough as well to send some of their brushes, which we'll see halfway through this video, so stay tuned for that one. Now, I did make a point of saying that you could see Rubin's work, and this is his website. He's got tons of painting, guys, and I'll leave a link to his website in the video description. So today we're going to be using a 20mm AB figure. I've primed him in a light grey colour, and now I'm going to be picking what uniform I want in terms of its colour. Now you can see there's three that actually would work relatively well for British uniforms, but one stands out a bit better to me, and this is the brown green. I think that's a really nice English uniform colour. Obviously the other colours you might be able to use for the Commonwealth equivalent or for more of a faded look. But the brown green is coming out really nicely. I'm trying to get a good shot of the drip, but it's a bit of a fail on the camera angle I've got. The consistency is really nice. You can see with this squiggly line here, it just goes really well. And now I've darkened the image and you can see a little bit of banding on the video, so I do apologize for that, but I really wanted to show the sort of colors more to be more realistic as opposed to enhanced. We will enhance it later on midway through the video. So I've opted for brown green to paint this guy's uniform in, and this is a great English uniform looking colour, and as you can tell, the paint consistency is perfect for those single coat types of painters like myself. I only like to paint in one go. So rock grey is the next colour I'm going to be using, and it's a green, and it's going to be perfect for our webbing. So you can tell I'm starting on the webbing on his backpack, but you're going to be using this colour for the entirety of his webbing. So his backpack, his straps, his brand pouches. I don't really need to go through all of the items that are going to be painted in this colour. You get the idea. It's just a really nice colour for that, as well as his gaiters as well. Don't forget he's got two. I have forgotten in the past, which is rather embarrassing to admit, but I have done. So using that same colour on your palette, add a bit of black to it at about a 1:1 ratio, mix it up as you can see on the screen now, and then you're going to be getting a nice sort of dark green colour, and that's going to be giving you a perfect colour for your helmet. It's not also going to be used for the helmet. You can use it for your Piat, your 2-inch mortar, 6-pounder, 17-pounder. Again, I don't have to rattle them all off, you get the idea. So black is the next colour I'm going to be using, and that's going to be perfect for his boots. And as I said, these are all single coats. I've not been having to go over these, which is perfect for painters like myself. Now I'm moving on to the wooden areas. There's two wooden colours. There's vermin brown and brown. I'm using vermin brown for the rifle because it's got an orange hue to it. Gives you a really nice new wood looking color. But I also want to use the brown, so I'm going to be using the brown for his entrenching tool. Now I do like the two different browns in this set because you can obviously mix and match between the different infantry to give them slightly different looking rifles in terms of their color. Obviously different marked rifles and different wood grains and stuff would have been used for Lee Enfields. Now Graveyard Earth is the next color I'm using, and I'm going to be using that for his water bottle or his canteen, as well as the tarp or sleeping bag, whatever he's got sort of tucked away in his backpack here. It might not be historically accurate, but you know what, I just wanted to put this paint to the test, and it looks relatively good to me, at least anyway, for being accurate. So dark ochre as well as bone is going to be used at about a 1:1, maybe a 2:1 ratio to give you a khaki sling, as well as some of the scrim or the like bits of foliage on his helmet. I like to go with a like a nice tanned color for mine. Now for the metal items, I like a dark grey, so I'm going to be mixing black and bone. So 2 parts black and 1 part bone. It's going to give you a really nice looking dark grey colour, which is going to be perfect for the metal. Because there is a silver in this set, we can go over it with silver later on. Now I'm using burnt umber as well as black, and I'm mixing the two up. And this is just for a little bit of excess metal that if you paint, it's just going to look really odd. So it's going to give you a nice dark shadow color. It's going to save you from having to apply like 20 different bits of wash on there before it gets hidden. So yeah, it's what I would use. And you can also use that as a shadow color if you want to paint the whole model in this color. Now I'm putting on a black wash. It's been thinned down slightly. It's just a sort of generic black wash. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to be putting the Ionic brushes to the test as well. Now these brushes actually look really nice. They're Kalinsky brushes as well, so you know the tip's going to be great. It's going to be long lasting, and it's got a great tip on it. So as I said, I'm going to put it to the test. So to start off with, I'm going to be going over the uniform in the brown green that we opted for at the start of the video. As you can tell, I've also enhanced the video slightly because now we can get into the guts of the video where you actually see me painting properly, opposed to just putting base colours on. So I do apologise if you found the dark just a little bit too frustrating, but I think this is going to work out really nicely, and it's really promoting that paint from MIG, and I really like it. So with the brown green, I'm going to be adding some bone to the mixture. I'm going to be going about a 1:1 ratio. If you add a little bit too much bone, you can put in some more of that brown green, and then you can see I'm going to be I'm not going to use the word highlighting because I don't really highlight. I just add another layer, so I'm pretty much repainting everything I've done, but I scratch it on, so you can tell using this beautiful Ionic brush from MIG, it's going on really nicely. All the scratching that I do, you can see here that I'm just pretty much repainting the whole uniform, but that uniform is really starting to pop already. It's giving you a nice sort of worn veteran looking uniform. Yeah, I do like the bone added to that brown green to give you that nice subtle change. Now for the webbing, I'm not going to go with just rock grey and then give it the next highlight. I'm going to go rock grey and bone. This is the first and only step I'm going to be doing for the webbing. Mix it up, and then I'm going to be applying it. So we're going to be going at about a 2:1 ratio for this, and you can see straight away, look how bright that colour is. But again, it's giving you more of a beige looking green, which is perfect. It really makes figures in these 20mm scales pop. So now vermin brown is the next colour I'm going to be using. So I'm actually just scratching on the vermin brown. What do I mean by that? I mean I'm basically just scratching it on to simulate sort of like wood grains. I know it's crazy at this scale, but it really does work. Honestly, it does. There's very little care involved, honestly. So vermin brown and bone at a 2:1 ratio is going to be my next colour. And this is going to, again, give you some nice looking wood grains. You can see I'm just scratching on. I've got very little amounts on the tip of my paintbrush. I've slowed it down just so you can really appreciate what I'm actually meaning by that. And you can see the sort of how light the wood's going, but you want some of that vermin brown still to pop through in different areas, which is going to give you a nice looking wooden rifle. So bone is the next colour I'm going to be going with, and that's obviously for his entrenching tool. There's really not much more I can say about it other than it's a nice brown colour. And then bone and brown at a 2:1 ratio is what I'm going to be using. So bone is quite light, so you want to probably put less amount of bone in all of the paints mixtures. Now graveyard earth is the next colour I'm going to be using, and we're going over the tarp in his backpack as well as his water bottle. Again, the consistency is just so nice. You can see this figure's really starting to pop as well. It's really coming together. So graveyard earth and bone at a 2:1 ratio is the next layer that I'm putting down. Because you can see here, I'm pretty much painting that whole tarp again, as well as just adding in a little line on each side of the canteen. And it's just going to give us a really nice looking canteen. And then dark ochre and brown is what we're going to be going over the webbing in. So it's pretty much the same mixture, 2:1 as what we did initially. But then I'm going to get a dry brush, an old brush, and I'm going to just remove most of the paint off there, and I'm just going to dry brush the scrim and the netting that's on the helmet. You can see there, it slowly starts to pop as long as you've got most of the paint off the brush. And then I'm going to go over the scrim with dark ochre and brown at a 1:1 ratio, so it becomes very like a deserty in its colour, quite light, but it's perfect for what I want. I also use that same colour for the top of his water bottle. Now there's some skin paints in this set, so I'm going to be using dwarf skin for his paint. Again, really nice coverage. I didn't have any problems with any of these colours, light or dark. They all were really, really good. So I'm really interested to perhaps put a white to the test at some point. Now black and bone at a 2:1 ratio is going to be giving us that dark grey colour again. So I'm just correcting any mistakes that I made, as well as layering all the little details, on this Lee Enfield. And then I'm going with black metal, which is our metallic colour from the set. It's giving us a nice silver touch to it. I don't like too much metallic colours on my figures, so this black metal is actually dark enough that it doesn't look silly where it goes like super silver or anything, and gives you a more realistic looking metal part of your rifle. So whilst everything else dries and the paint for the flesh paint's drying, I'm going to use a generic red wash just to give the face some of that detail from the wash. And with that done, I'm going to add dwarf skin again once it's dry. So this is just going to be painting pretty much the entirety of his face again, but just leaving that dark wash colour in the eye sockets, around the nose, the mouth. You can see that I'm painting the cheek, I'm connecting it to the chin. I'm going to paint a line on the nose, try and get the nostrils if you can, or if you can be bothered. And then the hands and the fingers. And then for the next layer, I'm going to use dwarf skin and elf skin at a 1:1 ratio. It's going to give us more of a white looking, or a whiter looking Caucasian skin tone. And this is where I put a little line underneath the eye socket between the nose, the cheek, the chin, and then each individual finger. And then this is how he's come out. I think he's come out really nicely. I'm super impressed with this set of paints from MIG. The Ionic range is really great. I can't wait to put the German one to the test. So overall, I am extremely happy with this set. You can't really go wrong with it. I haven't been able to fault it. I've used it for a while now. I've painted a couple more models using it, and yeah, I really like it. It probably will end up replacing my Vallejo paints once they run out, so that is testament, because I haven't replaced them at all at any stage. They are just a fantastic range of paints. Yes, they do require a little bit of mixing and matching and such, but you know what, you only get 12 paints. If you were to invest in more of the Ionic range, then I'm sure you'll have all of the bases covered, and you definitely will enjoy it. I love the lid on them, the way that you can see all the paint without having to get too much paint dry up and then not being able to open your lid. So yeah, really good. And the paint brushes as well were really great. You're never going to go wrong with Kolinsky brushes anyway, but the Ionic brushes are great, and they feel really nice to carry and use as well, which is awesome. So a massive thank you goes out to the team at MIG for sending me these. Don't forget to check out Ruben's channel and website as well. The fact that they collaborated with him is testament to his work. He's just an amazing painter, and I wish I had half the skill he had. Now, a massive thank you also goes to my Patreons and YouTube channel members. Special mention, as always, goes to my Panzer Ace. So that's Patrick, Oscar, James, Panzer Jim, Colin, Lack of Foresight Gaming, Mike, Mikey, Eric, Rothgart and Jonathan. You guys are all champions. Alright guys, that's going to end the video today. The next one, we're going to be taking a look at the German infantry set, and we're going to be painting a bigger scale model so we can really appreciate some of those camouflage colours that are in the set. And we might make use of the British paints in that as well, because I think some of them might be useful in that set. But do let me know in the comment section if you're going to be investing in some of these new Ionic paints, or if you're just a big fan of Ruben's work. Either or both would be great to hear from you guys. Alright guys, I am really going to end it here now. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you at the next one.